Good morning. Today we will discuss regarding measurement of strain and temperature compensation techniques. Now regarding the strain gauges, if a metal conductor is stretched or compressed, its resistance changes due to change in length and diameter of conductor. Also, there is a change in the value of resistivity of the conductor when it is strained, and this property is called piezoresistive effect. Therefore, resistance strain gauges are also known as piezoresistive gauges. So, a strain gauge is an example of passive transducer that converts a mechanical displacement into a change of resistance. A strain gauge is a thin, wafer-like device that can be attached to a variety of materials to measure the applied strain. So by using the strain gauges, you can measure the strain that is applied on a component. Now regarding the structure, the majority of the strain gauges are foil types available in a wide choice of shapes and sizes to suit a variety of applications. They consist of a pattern of resistive foil which is mounted on the backing material. They operate on the principle that as the foil is subjected to stress, the resistance of the foil changes in a defined way. Now, the strain gauges are used for measurement of strain. The change in the value of resistance by straining the gauge is the behavior of a elastic material. When a gauge is subjected to a positive strain, means it is subjected to tension, its length increases while its area of cross section decreases. Since the resistance of conductor is proportional to its length and inversely proportional to its area of cross section, the resistance of gauge increases with positive strain. The change in the value of resistance of strain conductor is more than increase in resistance due to dimensional changes. The extra change in the value of resistance is attributed to a change in the value of resistivity of a conductor when it is strained. This property is known as piezoresistive effect. Now regarding the working, the strain gauge is connected into a Wheatstone bridge circuit. So there is a Wheatstone bridge circuit, and on that circuit, that strain gauge it is connected in series. The change in resistance is proportional to applied strain. So the strain it is applied on a component, and that strain gauge it is mounted on that particular component. So when the stress or strain it is applied on that component, so there is a change in resistance, and that change in resistance that can be measured, and that can be measured with the help of Wheatstone bridge circuit. So you will get the voltage, and that voltage it is calibrated in terms of strain. So that is regarding the working of the strain gauge. Next is types of strain gauges. So the it is based on principle of working. It is categorized as mechanical strain gauge, electrical strain gauge, piezoelectric strain gauge, and according to basis of or on the basis of mounting the strain gauges on a component, it is classified as bonded strain gauge and unbonded strain gauge. So this is mechanical strain gauge. So it is made up of two separate plastic layers. The bottom layer has a ruled scale on it, and the top layer has a red arrow or a pointer. One layer it is glued to one side of the crack and one layer to the other. As the crack opens, the layers slightly vary slowly past one another, and the pointer moves over the scale. The red crosshairs move on the scale as a crack widens. Then electrical strain gauge. When the electrical wire it is stretched within the limits of its elasticity such that it does not break or permanently deform. It will become narrower and longer. Changes that increase its electrical resistance end to end. Strain can be inferred by measuring change in resistance. So that electrical resistance, change in electrical resistance, that can be measured in case of electrical strain gauge. Then piezoelectric strain gauge. So piezoelectric generates the electric voltage when the strain is applied over it. So that change in electric voltage, that can be measured in case of piezoelectric strain gauges. Then on the basis of mounting the strain gauges on a component, so first type, it is bonded strain gauge. So you can see in a diagram, there is a wire grid and the two leads are there that is connected to the Wheatstone bridge. A bonded strain gauge element consisting of a metallic wire, each foil, vacuum deposited film or semiconductor bar is mounted or the cemented to the strain surface. Unbonded strain gauge, you can see in a diagram. So unbonded strain gauge, it consists of a wire stretched between 2 points in an insulating medium such as air. One end of the wire is fixed and the other end is attached to the movable element. So it is not pasted on a component. So it is called unbonded. And the bonded strain gauge, it is pasted on a component whose strain has to be measured. Advantages: there is no moving part and it is small and inexpensive. Disadvantages: it is non-linear and it needs to be calibrated. Applications: so these are some applications: residual stress, vibration measurement, torque measurement, bending and deflection measurement, compression and tension measurement, strain measurement. So these are some applications of the strain gauges. Now we'll move to the next topic, that is temperature compensation. Now when you apply the force on a body, the amount of deformation, that is strain, can be measured by using strain gauge. The strain gauges are bonded or it is stick or it is pasted on a surface of a body. After applying force, the strain can be measured by detecting change in resistance. So that change in resistance, that you have to detect or that you have to measure. However, strain gauge material, the lead wiring, as well as the inspection or as well as the specimen material to which the gauge is applied, also responds to the change in temperature. So when there is a change in temperature, so there is a change in resistance in strain gauge material. Also there is a change in resistance in a lead wiring of the strain gauge, and also there is a change on a specimen material, or the, you can say, the component on which the gauge it is pasted. So resistive type strain gauges are sensitive to temperature variation. Therefore, it is necessary to consider the variation in the resistance of strain gauge because of temperature changes. So that factor that we have to consider, because there is a temperature change in all the elements of the of that assembly, you can say. Now the change in resistance is due to the two ways. So it is due to resistance of wire grid of the strain gauges changes with change in temperature, means there is a change in resistance of the strain gauges. And second is resistance of gauge may change due to differential expansion existing between gauge and the test specimen on which it is bonded, or it is due to the difference in coefficient of expansion. So that is regarding the materials used. So the gauge material, that may be different, and the specimen material or the component material, that may be different, and due to that there is a difference in coefficient of expansions of two materials. So there is a differential expansion that will be exist between gauge and the test specimen. So that factor also we have to consider. Now that temperature effects may be handled by compensation or cancellation. So you can see in the slide, the combined effect of these three factors will produce a temperature induced change in resistance of the gauge. So alpha, it is a thermal coefficient of expansion of the gauge material. Beta, it is a thermal coefficient of base material. So that is regarding the second case, as I have told earlier. And gamma, that is thermal coefficient of gauge material. And F is gauge factor. So in order to prevent significant errors due to temperature compensation, so current available methods are compensating dummy gauge, self temperature compensated gauge, compensation by dissimilar gauge, compensation by similar gauge, and compensation by computation. So we will see all the methods of temperature compensation techniques. So the first category in a temperature compensation technique is the temperature compensation and cancellation techniques. So in this technique, the compensation may be provided by, first is use of adjacent arm balancing or compensating gauge. So the first category, it is adjacent arm compensating gauge. In that, the different methods include for the temperature compensations are, first is use of dummy gauge, then use of two active gauges in adjacent arm, that is also called a half bridge arrangement, and third is use of four active gauges, that is also called full bridge arrangement. Now the first method, compensating dummy gauges, the use of dummy gauge. So you can see the diagram. Okay, so on the top of the diagram you can see the active strain gauge. So this is a cantilever. Okay, so this is a component on which the force it is applied, and you have to measure the strain by using that active strain gauge. And at the bottom you can see the dummy strain gauge that is placed, that is called R2. So R1, it is a active strain gauge, R2, it is a dummy strain gauge. Then the change in resistance, that will be delta R1 in active strain gauge R1, and change in resistance, that is in dummy strain gauge, will be delta R2. And it is connected to the, so these two strain gauges that are connected to the Wheatstone bridge circuit. Okay, so in this, the system is so designed that the output caused by the spurious inputs is opposed by components physically built into the system. So this R2, it is physically built into the system. So that is called a dummy gauge. That physically built system cancel out the output caused due to the spurious signals. The temperature is an interfering input, and there is an output due to change in ambient temperature, even though there is no input strain. So when strain is not applied, even the strain it is not applied, so due to the temperature change or the change in ambient temperature, so there is a change in resistance in a active strain gauges. This effect can be eliminated by using a dummy gauge in the adjacent arm of the Wheatstone bridge. The active strain gauge is installed on a test specimen, that is cantilever, while the dummy gauge is installed on a like piece of material and is not subjected to any strain. So on the top you can see the R1, that is a strain gauge that is placed on a test specimen on which strain it is applied, and R2, it is a dummy gauge, it is installed on a like piece of material, same material, that is pasted on a same material, but it is placed separately and is not subjected to any strain. So strain it is not applied on a dummy strain gauge. The bridge is initially balanced, and therefore R1 upon R3 equal to R2 upon R4. Suppose a change in temperature occurs and the resistance of active as well as dummy gauges change by delta R1 and delta R2 respectively. So in order that there should be no output, the bridge should be balanced, and this requires R1 plus delta R1 upon R3 equal to R2 plus delta R2 upon R4. Now, if the active and dummy gauges are identical, then R1 equal to R2 equal to R. And if the dummy gauge is placed in the same environments as the active strain gauge, delta R1 equal to delta R2. So the change in resistance due to that change in temperature, even the no strain it is applied, then change that will be equal. So change in resistance in R1 and the change in resistance in R2 due to temperature change, that should be equal, and therefore there will be no output due to changes in ambient temperature, because that will be cancelled out due to dummy gauge. Then second, compensation by similar gauges. So in that, the first we will see use of two active gauges in adjacent arm, that is also called half bridge arrangement. You can see the strain gauge 1 on the top of the specimen or the cantilever it is placed, and strain gauge 3, that is called RG3, that is pasted on at the bottom of the surface, and this is a strain cantilever and is connected to the Wheatstone bridge. Instead of using one active gauge and other dummy gauge in first case that we have seen already, so in dummy gauge method, new arrangement it is made by using both active gauges. So in this case, both the active gauges are made. In figure you can see the two gauges are mounted on a cantilever. Gauge RG1 is on the top of the cantilever and hence experiences the tension. When you apply the force, the strain gauge 1 that will experience a tension, while the strain gauge RG3 at the bottom surface of the cantilever experiences the compression. Therefore, there is an increase in the value of resistance of strain gauge RG1, while there is a decrease in the value of resistance of RG3. So due to tension, the increase in resistance in RG1, and due to compression, because that strain gauge 3 that will subjected to compression, so there is a decrease in the value of resistance in RG3. The temperature effect are cancelled out by having R2 equal to R4, because it is subjected on a same component, and using two identical gauges in a opposite arm of bridge. So therefore Rg1 equal to Rg3 equal to R2 equal to R4 equal to R. When no strain is applied, output voltage is 0. When strain is applied, output voltage is double, giving increased sensitivity eliminates the temperature effect. So in this case, the output voltage that you will get, that will be double. So that output voltage, it is calibrated in terms of the strain. Next case, that is use of 4 active gauges. So it is called full bridge arrangement. So all the 4 strain gauges are similar and have equal resistances when unstrained. So you can see on a top surface, strain gauges 1 and 4 it is mounted. On a bottom surface, strain gauges 2 and 3 that is mounted, and the force F it is applied on a cantilever, and these strain gauges that are connected to the Wheatstone bridge, and it forms 4 arms of the Wheatstone bridge as shown in the figure. This is also known as full bridge arrangement. When no strain is applied, the potentials of points B and D are both equal to EI upon 2, and hence output voltage E0 equal to 0. When strain is applied, the strain gauges 1 and 4 are in tension and strain gauges 2 and 3 are in compression. So it is observed that the strain condition, the output voltage when using 4 active strain gauges is 4 times that the use of one active strain gauge. So the output voltage that you will get, it is 4 times by than the using one active strain gauge. So according to that, so that voltage, it is calibrated in terms of the strain. Another method, that is self temperature compensation. The above theory, that is based upon the assumption that the measuring gauge and the compensating gauges are at the same temperature. However, it is not possible to keep the two gauges or two sets of gauges at the same temperature, and therefore it is not possible to apply temperature compensating techniques given above. So it is desirable to use self temperature compensation. There are two types of self compensated gauges available. They are, first is selected melt gauge. In this, both wire and foil grade materials may be prepared, which show very low apparent strain variation with temperature over the certain range of temperature. And second method, dual element gauge. In this case of self compensation, the two wire elements are connected in series to make one strain gauge assembly. The two elements have different temperature characteristics and are so chosen that the net strain produced on account of temperature changes is minimized when the gauge is mounted on the test surface. So this is regarding the strain gauges, or the theory of the strain gauges, or the strain measurement, and its temperature compensation techniques. Thank you.